You're introducing the one and only
Big Podcast.
Something that I've really been thinking about over the last year or so is my role in the media environment. And that is something that I would suggest you look at. How are you affecting the media that goes out? Because here we are, like right now I'm in the 5x8 closet. It doesn't seem like it's going out anywhere and doing things, but it does. And I've been part of bigger projects with big antennas and cable networks and satellites and however else we get messages out. And that stuff really gets out. And some of that stuff is, I don't know, man. It's just not, it doesn't make me feel that great when I look back on it. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on this issue. It's Build a Big Podcast, the marketing podcast for podcasters. If you want to grow your podcast, get more people to your podcast, make a podcast that matters, make a podcast that makes the world just a little bit better. Small hinges, big doors, you know. You're in the right place. Bigpodcast.com, that's the website. My name is David Hooper. This episode, the audio edition of my weekly newsletter, that is called Big Podcast Insider. It goes out every Friday morning, New York time. You can find it at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 229. Here's what we're going to cover. Bad influence. The steak sauce news hijack. Tasty. No, man. I'm vegetarian. No way. You are family to some listeners. Where do you get your podcasting ideas? Eggs and podcasting. Yeah, both are getting more expensive. We're going to talk about it. This episode of Build a Big Podcast brought to you by Riverside.fm, a virtual studio that makes recording and editing at the highest quality possible accessible to anyone. You're going to look and sound your best because Riverside records you and your guests locally, bypassing poor or unstable internet connections and giving you studio quality audio and video. These days, with something like Riverside, which is mind-blowing to me, if you've got a quiet space and a pretty decent mic, I'm talking, $60, that'll get you set up, you're going to sound better than we sounded on broadcast radio even 20 years ago. Incredible, right? Definitely a lot cheaper. And with stuff that we couldn't have imagined. Instant transcriptions powered by AI with 99% accuracy, making your podcast and other content that you create more accessible to everyone. You might not believe this, but there are a lot of people that are using your audio podcast without listening to it. They're looking at the transcript. Google's certainly using it that way, and you're going to have these transcripts that can bring people to you and make your content more accessible for them when they get there. It is so easy to record a first-class podcast, edit a first-class podcast, and if you want to market it, promote it, Riverside can help you do that too. They call it AI Magic Clips. I want you to check it out. Go to riverside.fm. They're going to give you a free account. Take a couple of hours to look around, see how it works for you. Kick the tires, take it for a test drive if you want to keep it. This is the discount code, Big Podcast, BIGPODCAST. That's riverside.fm. The discount code, Big Podcast, BIGPODCAST. All right, here we go. From thing to thing to thing, all of them about podcasting. You heard what I talked about earlier. We're going to cover all those things. When I go from one thing to the next, you are going to hear this. That's how you know I'm moving to the next thing. That's how you know. If you want more information, you want the links, you want to see any videos or other things that are involved with what I'm talking about, go to newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 229. You ready? Bad influence. Netflix, they've got a great new series. It's called Bad Influence, the Dark Side of Kidfluencing, and it's going to give you some great insight into the business of influencers, even the 18-plus influencers, and also YouTube. I recommend any podcaster, including you, watch it. There's a lot for podcasters here. But something that I want you to pay particular attention to is the slippery slope that happens when money gets involved. I have seen this in every single industry that I've worked in over the years: music, comedy, modeling, acting, broadcasting. If you're an entertainer, your sense of what's normal on the job, it tends to shift as you get more comfortable. These changes are usually gradual. It's not easy to notice how much your boundaries move until you get a little distance and you look back. Let me give you an example of something that just happened yesterday. I've talked about my wife being a photographer. We have people over here all the time. Company people, makeup and hair, models. Some of these models are media people, some of them podcasters, some of them you would consider influencers. If I were to mention them, you're like, oh yeah, I heard of them. So I'm not going to mention this name, but had one over here yesterday. This one lasted, man, it was long. It was all day, maybe like 9 to 4. So 7 hours. They do a few looks during the shoot, meaning wardrobe changes, setups. And they change right in front of you. So they don't think anything about it. I don't think anything about it. But something similar to what I said at the very beginning of this episode is I want to think about what I'm adding to the mix. And one of those things that I'm adding is if I've got somebody in here, it doesn't matter what their age. I want them to have a good experience with me. I want them to have a good experience with my wife. Sometimes the talent that we deal with is young talent, and they don't know what a good experience is. They don't know what's normal. So yeah, even though they're used to changing right in front of you, we say, no, we've got a dressing room for you here. Here you go. There's people in and out here. I want them to see how I interact with my wife, how we interact as a couple, how I support her. I want them to see how we respect them as the talent, not just go, 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 go. Like, do you need a break? Do you need some water? I mean, little bitty things that let them know what they can expect when they come into a set. You might think, oh, the talent, these guys have huge egos and they're the ones who are running the show. No, they are not. No, a producer, or in this case for her, a photographer, you're like the orchestrator there. You're the conductor. You were the one running the show. So if you're doing any kind of production, I want you to think about that because you're working with people that, yeah, maybe they act like they're a big deal on camera, but they've got insecurities. They're young. They've got these people that are hangers-on, including their own parents, on the payroll, telling them what to do, telling them when they can take breaks. I mean, it's crazy. And if you want to see the behind the scenes of some of this, bad influence, the dark side of kidfluencing, that's going to give you the inside scoop of behind the scenes of what some of these things are really like. Beyond that, you're going to see how much of success on YouTube is hype, and that's also important to keep in mind. A lot of that success is purchased. This stuff doesn't just happen organically. Rarely it might. Very rarely. Stories are planted, stories are paid for, visitors, likes, attention, traffic. It's paid for. Something that I didn't mention in the written newsletter. So don't go to newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 229, looking for this. I didn't want it out there in writing, but I'm going to tell it to you right here. There's a rumor, and she would not have been the only one to do this. So if she did, I'm not finger wagging at her saying you shouldn't have done this. This is just one of those things like that's how it is. But Taylor Swift, somebody, arguably Mr. Swift, her father, bought her first 100,000 records, albums, whatever you want to call them. So she's got 100,000 sales on the books. And I don't know if it was a retail sale or if it was a bulk sale. I mean, again, this happens all the time in music. It happens with books. Sometimes you'll see a dagger by the New York Times bestseller list. That's somebody doing this. Anyway, 100,000 units sold immediately. And when Taylor Swift was on the road, they would sell those out of the back of the trunk, the back of the venue. Hey, you want to buy the new album? Here you go. Or they would use them as promos. But they were retail copies. They counted for that. And that's what gave her the boost to keep on going. I'm not saying she's not talented. She is. Not saying she's not a hard worker. She is 100%. I mean, beyond that, she's an incredibly hard worker. She connects with people. There's a reason there's only one Taylor Swift. Not many people want to do that work. But she also had a lot of support systems in place. One of them was the financing for something like buying 100,000 records. That counts as a sale. You get the sales right then. That jumpstarts everything, and you sell those or you give those away as promos later. Again, I'm not saying that she did that, but she had the money to do that. And that's the rumor. I want you to check this out. Bad Influence, the Dark Side of Kidfluencing. It's going to give you an inside scoop at building a brand, the behind the scenes of YouTube, but also those boundaries, how they get pushed, how people find themselves in one thing and it seems normal because everybody else is doing it. And it's like the frog boiling in water. And the next thing you know, you got an OnlyFans account. You know I got an OnlyFans account, right? Yep. Seriously, I do. OnlyFans.com/David Hooper. I will see you there. And I'll see you on newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 229. Real quick, I want to talk about Big Podcast AMP. AMP stands for Audio Monetization Program. It's a personal coaching program. It's you working with me, and we're going to do three things. 1, grow your podcast audience. 2, get people talking about your podcast. And 3, make more money with your podcast and your podcasting skills. I've talked about this. There are a lot of people that are looking for somebody to speak, to have conversations, to record themselves, Do you know why? AI. AI is being trained on audio right now. There are a lot of AI companies paying top dollar for people like us. It is an opportunity. You want to talk about things like that? The opportunities you've got, growing your podcast audience, getting people to talk about your podcast, do your marketing for you. Let's do it. Bigpodcast.com/amp. That's bigpodcast.com/AMP. Steak sauce news hijack. I've got a 45-second clip. This is Linda McMahon. You may know her as Vince McMahon's wife. Vince McMahon being the CEO, founder of WWE, formerly known as WWF, World Wrestling Entertainment, the leader in sports entertainment. Check this out.
I heard, I think it was a letter or a report that I heard this morning. I wish I could remember the source, but that there is a school system that's going to start making sure that first graders or even pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades. And that's a wonderful thing. Kids are sponges. They just absorb everything. And so it wasn't all that long ago that we're going to have internet in our schools. Woo! Now, okay, let's do A1 and how can that be helpful? How can it be helpful in one-on-one instruction? How can it be helpful in absorbing, more information for those fast learners? It can be more one-on-one directed. And those are the kinds of things and innovations that I want to see continue to develop.
Here's what's happening. She's the education secretary, and she made a slip. She called AI A1, like the steak sauce. This was during a discussion about integrating technology into education. A1, the steak sauce, they were quick to jump on the mistake. They're getting a ton of free publicity for the brand. It was like, A1, people still use that? Yeah, they do. They do. And A1 got a lot of publicity, millions of dollars worth of free publicity. If you want to see what they've done with it, I've got it linked, newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 229. I mentioned earlier, I'm vegetarian. I don't care about A1. This is not about A1. This isn't even about Linda McMahon, AI, anything like that. This is about the overall opportunity that you've got to capitalize on viral moments or trending news stories, how effective that can be for you and your podcast. It's a quick way to draw attention to your podcast. The key is to stay alert for situations that align with your brand's tone and content. How do you do that? You monitor social media, news outlets, conversations within your niche for anything that's unexpected or funny or controversial, anything that you can cleverly tie to your show's theme. Another news hijack you might have seen lately, Wendy's, the fast food restaurant, this whole thing with Katy Perry going up into space. They said, can we send her back? Wendy's is snarky, man. They're getting a ton of publicity for it. Is it helpful to them? Wendy's got a reputation for that. Wendy is hard, man. She's back there with 140 characters, 280 characters, whatever she's got. Don't start a flame war with Wendy. Woo! And that didn't just start with Katy Perry. Wendy's been doing that for a long, long time. She is known, I say she, it's almost like she's a real person, but it's a lot of people probably. The social media intern, whatever you want to call it. They'll blame it on the intern if something really goes bad. Oh, it's the intern. Shouldn't have given her the password. But it's a team of people. Maybe it's just you with your podcast. Okay, that's cool. Just be prepared for it. Keep an internal checklist, something that might be funny. Think about that. What happens if somebody goes up into space? What could you say to somebody who goes up into space regarding your podcast? Watch for trends. Watch for news stories. Watch for people that die. Watch for people that get hospitalized. Whatever. Celebrity news, birthdays. There are a lot of things that you can look for like this. You never know when they're going to pop up. Sometimes it's a match, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's tasteful, sometimes it's not. Sometimes people get mad, Katy Perry. Other people, they roll with the punches. The Katy Perry thing is actually pretty funny because apparently, and who knows if this is actually true, I haven't seen her talking about that, but maybe it's her people or maybe it's the news picked it up. Wendy was able to get a lot more publicity than just that initial spike they would have with that tweet. People's like, ooh, ouch. Sometimes you got to treat these things like a cloud. Just let them blow on over. Don't keep feeding them. Anyway, if your podcast focuses on humor, make a joke. If it's educational, drop a fact that ties the story back to the topic. Then link what you're doing back to content for an episode that talks about what you're talking about or expands on the idea. The goal is to ride that wave of attention. And that wave, just like the cloud blowing over, it's eventually going to die unless you got somebody like Katy Perry and she's agitated and she's going to bring it up and bring it up and bring it up. In that case, maybe you got an extra day or two. You want more thoughts on this? You want to see the video for the audio that I played earlier? Or you want to see what A1 did? It's the Steak Sauce News Hijack. I've got it all linked. You'll find it at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 229. You are family to some listeners. Your podcast, it's more than just audio content. It's a companion. It's a source of inspiration. It's education. It's comfort for listeners. You may have a podcast like that. Every Tuesday morning, they release an episode. You can't wait for that work commute. You're going to listen to that podcast on the way to work. That's family. If you want to strengthen this unique bond that you have with your audience, here's some ideas on how you can do that. One is to engage directly. Use social media and surveys to interact and get feedback with listeners. If you do this, be warned. Use the feedback, respond to feedback. I got something today. I don't even know who it was from. I just ignored it. I was like, no, you're not going to answer this 60-second quiz or 5-minute quiz or whatever it is, but you're not going to do anything with it. You're not giving me anything for doing it. I think a lot of people think like that. But on the other hand, if you do listen to feedback, there's some software tools that I use. I've got a journaling app. It's called Everlog Journal, by the way. If you like to keep a journal, this thing is great. Independent developer. I can write this dude. I'll say, you know what? I would love it if you could add something like this. Oh man, I've been thinking about that. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let me get that on the list. And then he'll do it. That kind of direct engagement, that works for your podcast as well. The other thing you can do, create community, establish online groups, organize live events, something that's going to foster listener interaction. People talk about Joe Rogan a lot. Man, can you just believe Joe Rogan? It's the most popular podcast in the world. Call Her Daddy is something similar. Why is that? Part of it is that interaction between listeners. Go look at a Joe Rogan YouTube video. Call Her Daddy YouTube video. Yeah, the video's there. Great. But the real action, that's in the comments section. And it's not just comments, it's a discussion between listeners. That's how you know you've got something. How can you create community and foster that community? Next thing you do, personalize content. Give shout outs. Produce episodes based on listener input. Hey, Bill from Chunky, Mississippi sent in this question. Blah, 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 blah. That's a great topic. We're going to talk about it. Thanks for the suggestion, Bill. This goes back to what I said earlier. Let listeners know you're listening to them, but then take action on it. When you can do it in public, even better. There's a DJ out of Washington, D.C., Bobby Bennett, the mighty burner, old R&B soul DJ. He was on XM for years, had a stream called Soul Street. And Bobby was super cool. I really like listening to him, super knowledgeable about music. And this is a guy that I would actually email. He'd email me back. Really cool guy. One of the things that he told me, I thought this was great. He was talking about doing live radio, and he said, always play requests. And this maybe happens today. I know there's variations of it happening today, but back in the day, it used to be you would call a DJ up on the radio. Hey, man, can you play something about Lattimore? And Bobby Bennett's like, yeah, man, let me see what I can do. And he would do it just like that. Yeah, man, let me see what I can do. Next thing you know, the next song, hey, man, this is going out to David in Nashville, Lattimore.
Sit yourself down, girl, and talk to me.
You know, he would get right on it.
Tell me what's on
And you
your
really
mind.
felt like he was going out of his way to get that on for you quickly. He wouldn't be like, yeah, I'll get that on next. Nothing like that. No promises that he was going to break. He would let it be a surprise to you. Can you do that with your podcast audience? And again, it could be a shout out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the suggestion. Producing episodes based on listener input. Maybe it's playing Lattimore. Offer exclusives. Bonus content through memberships, Patreon, OnlyFans, onlyfans.com/David Hooper. Behind the scenes access. People love that stuff. Inside versus outside. I'm an insider, man. I'm in the platinum group. Let them know you appreciate them. Be real. Share personal stories and admit mistakes to build trust. Nobody wants the fake stuff. I talked about kid influencers early in this episode. It's polished. It's not what's really happening, but they make it seem like it's what's really happening. Now, what if you could share something that really was happening? That's how we differentiate insiders and outsiders. You know the real deal, how it really went down. Bring your audience in on that. Stay consistent. Publish regularly without compromising content quality to keep your audience engaged. Talked about that Tuesday morning episode that you listen to every time you commute to work on Tuesday. That's a good start. Keep that consistency up. Keep that quality up. So many podcasts, and this is especially for the daily podcast, but the guys who have a deadline, for whatever reason, they can't not have the daily podcast or meet the deadline. Maybe it's a corporate podcast. You get in those predicaments. Maybe somebody doesn't show. Somebody flakes out. Oh man, we got to get an episode out. What are we going to do? And you'll see them do a rerun, or you'll see them doing something like, well, I'm going to bring my producer on today and we're going to talk about this. Or I'm going to bring my mother on today and we're going to talk about this. It's obviously a throwaway. Maybe like the rerun, bringing somebody that you've just had on for a second episode. No, man, don't repeat it. You want to be consistent. And yeah, it's being consistent to do something every day, but you've got to bring that consistency with the quality as well. And what people expect. When I go into McDonald's, which I don't, again, vegetarian, but if I did, I know where the bathrooms are. I know basically how to order. You go to the countertop. Now they've got a kiosk. Okay, combo 1, combo 2. I know the deal. Supersize it. Yeah. They're consistent. They get good results from that. You will get those same kind of results by being consistent with your audience and your content. These strategies: engage directly, create community, personalize content, offering exclusives, being real, and staying consistent. Doing these things with your podcast is going to help transform people from just listeners, people who are passively listening and consuming your product, to a loyal community, people who are engaging with each other, people who know that you publish on a Tuesday morning and they can't wait for you to publish next Tuesday because they can't wait to listen to you. That's the difference. You want more thoughts on these? You want to see them in writing? Newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 229. Where do you go for your podcasting ideas? I've got something visual here for you. It's at newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 229. Let's talk about it. I have worked with a lot of production teams over the years, and it's very common to have a weekly pitch meeting. This is where people on the team get together. They share episode ideas. Hey, here's what's hot. Here's what we could do to promote things. Basically share ideas. Where are we going to go with our content creation, our marketing, our promotion, what we play? But where do these ideas come from? People have feelers out. People are thinking about them all the time. Are you doing that? If you're in need of great episode ideas or just great guests, the best thing that you can do, the best thing, is get outside and start talking to people. And I mean everybody. Go to the grocery store, talk to somebody. Somebody delivering your mail, a package to your door, talk to that person. Talk to everybody. Hey, how you doing? Man, you having a good day? Okay, whatever. Is it a little weird? Yeah, for some people it's going to be weird. But let me tell you a story about this. When I moved into this house, 2013, and side note, you know, I was a UPS guy. Yeah. When I lived in Columbus, Ohio, I was getting my own company off the ground, took a job as a UPS guy. So I'm delivering packages. My route's a mall. That's the background. Was a UPS guy. I wore the brown uniform, delivered the packages. And I'm moving into this new house. I got a UPS guy. It's the same guy every time. So I start talking to him. He's still my guy 12 or 13 years later. And I know his name. Hey, man, how you doing? We've got that relationship. And I have that relationship with everybody. I know my post woman. I know people on the street when they're sitting on their porch and I'm walking my dog past their house. That's how it starts. You never, ever know what's going to come from those relationships. Related to podcasting, I'm in a pitch meeting, pitches some ideas. Boom, right there. I'm thinking about all the people I come in contact with on a daily basis. Okay, well, I've got Tracy, the mail person. Maybe we do something for a local radio show about how to get your package to somewhere on time, how you need to pack it, how far in advance you need to drop it off. What can you do to make the postman's job easier? Since we're maybe talking about delivering something during the holidays, should you tip your postman? What are the rules around that? That's one. Got another woman that I met. I was walking the dog by her house, started having a conversation with her. She's super sweet. She adopted a kid. We're talking about what they call safe baby court. You can look it up. It sounds great in theory. Safe baby court. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Is it? Or does it just enable bad behavior? Things are complicated. Something like that, adoption or having to give your baby up, that's very personal. You got to have those relationships to get those stories. And this is what I'm talking about. Doing this is not only going to get you the ideas for stories, but also the relationships to actually get the story. I could do a story right now about illegal guns. I could do it about drugs. I could do it about numbers. I could do it about crime. All sorts of things that if you're like me, a middle-aged white guy, were to come up to somebody and say, hello, sir, may I please talk to you about your criminal activity? They're going to say, who's this guy? But because I've got relationships, I've got people who are going to vouch for me. Yeah, they're going to trust me and I'm going to get that story. This is how to do it. Where do you get your podcasting ideas? More importantly, maybe, how do you get those stories? I got more thoughts on it. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 229. Eggs and podcasting. Eggs are too pricey this year. So I hear. Again, vegetarian. Also pricey and getting pricier. Podcasting stuff. I got a funny joke about it. It's at newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 229. It's going to get weird, guys. But as I have said, this is the good news. And this is a matter of perspective. I talked earlier in the podcast about Riverside.fm. Riverside, a few bucks a month. Let's say we're $100 a month, and it is not. But let's say that it was. That is still cheaper than it used to be to get high-quality content, edit your podcast, promote your podcast, do all the things that a tool like that can do. ATR 2100, Audio-Technica microphone. 50, 60 bucks? Maybe it's going to go to 70. Maybe it's going to go to 100. Still cheaper than it used to be. And it is still a big bang for your buck. So yeah, maybe doing your podcast with all these tariffs and things, maybe it's going to cost you a little bit more than it used to, but it's still costing you a lot less than it used to. We're going to be all right. That's why you want to make the most impact with your podcast. If you want help with that, Big Podcast AMP, I've talked about it, bigpodcast.com/AMP. Go there, get more information. If you got questions about it, feel free to reach out. There are no tariffs on Big Podcast AMP. And just free, this podcast, Build a Big Podcast. Have you subscribed yet? Why not? Do it. Bigpodcast.com. Go there now. You're going to subscribe with one of three buttons. One for iPhone, one for RSS, one for Android. Pick how you want to listen to this podcast. Click it, and you're good to go. Every episode that I do delivered to you from the Big Podcast supercomputer, directly to however you listen to your podcast, free of charge and tariff-free. That's bigpodcast.com. Go there now before you forget. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out to me there. You want to see Big Podcast AMP, that's there too. Everything is there. The website, bigpodcast.com. I will see you there, and I will see you here on the next episode of Build a Big Podcast.